Today we're going to explore the unique nature of chemdas mammon. What differentiates this desire for money from the other desires in our life. Let's start in Koheles with the words of King Solomon. He says the following: Hu inyan ra, it's a bad matter. Noson Elokim livnei Adam la'anos boi, which Hashem gave to humanity to torture them with. The Medrash on this verse says that this pasuk, this verse, is King Solomon exploring the nature of the desire for money. What does he say about it? Hu inyan ra, it's something bad which God gave to humanity, and it persecutes them. It tortures them. And the Medrash goes on to explain in depth what King Solomon, Shlomo Melech, meant. The Medrash says as follows: Rabbi Bon Oimer, Zeh Shiputu Shel Mammon. This verse is describing the nature, the way of money. Amar Rabbi Yudin, B'Shem Rabbi Aivu, Ein Adam Yoitze Min Ha'olam V'Chatzi Ta'avosoi B'Yadoi. Nobody leaves this world with half of their desires in their hand. Ella, rather, in Islay Ma'ah, if he has 100, Boile Mevad Yason Tartin Movin, he wants to make from them 200. Ve'im Islay Tarte Movin, and if he's got 200, Boile Mevad Yason Arboma, then he wants to make from those 200, 400. End of the Medrash. In short, the Medrash is saying that if you want to understand the nature of money, it's never enough. If you have 100, you want 200. If you want 200, you want to make 400. It's trying to explain the language that Shlomo Melech used to describe the desire for money. He said, it's an inyan ra nosan elokim livnei Adam. It's a bad thing that this was given to man by God. La'anos boi. It tortures him. The Medrash is trying to explain the torture. I'll ask you this. In its description of the two people in the Medrash, who's lacking more money in their eyes? The one who has 100 or the one who has 200? And that's the point that Shlomo Melech was trying to make in Koheles. This desire for money is a torturous thing because it presents to you that if you just had double of what you had now, if you've got 100, it tells you if you would have 200, you'll be great. And actually, when you have 200, it wants another 200. So in fact, you were better off with 100. Because at that stage in your life, you only felt like you lacked 100. But now you feel like you lack 200. And so it will be, says Shlomo Melech, for the rest of your life. The more you have, the more you will feel that you're lacking and you will want more. And that's torturous, says Shlomo Melech. But that is the unique nature of chemdas mammon. No other midah that we have works that way. That the more you give it, although in your perception you think it will fill you, it leaves you feeling much emptier than before. But it doesn't end there. Because Reb Chaim Volozhin, in his explanation in Pirkei Avos in Ruach Chaim, says that this nature of chemdas mammon, that it never has more than half of its desires fulfilled, that's not only talking about a lowly person, that's talking about even a tzaddik. No one leaves this world with more than half their physical desires fulfilled. That is it. That's the nature that you've been given. You've been given a desire for money which for everyone is unquenchable. So how then do you get to a position of being sameach bechelkoi, this righteous place of being happy with your lot? This Reb Chaim Volozhin says as follows. V'omar hasameach bechelkoi, the Mishnah speaks about someone who's sameach bechelkoi, ki ha'oisher nikra tamid rak chelek v'lo hakol. You should know wealth is always called a portion. It's never called everything. You'll never have everything. You'll always only have a portion, even when you're rich. Ki la'olam lo yeh loi rak chatzi retzono. No human in the world will have more than half of what he wants. But the chiddush of the righteous person is v'hu sameach b'chelek sheyesh loi. He gets joy from the half, from the part that he has. And he doesn't spend his life chasing the other half. But make no mistake, he still has the other half, but he's not going to let that dictate his life. He gets joy and satisfaction from the portion that he has. And even though there are many things that he doesn't chase after them. Mashizehu beteva, which is the normal nature of a human being. And then he quotes our medrash. Mishayesh lo mana, someone who's got 100, wants 200, and will spend his life chasing the 200. The difference between the tzaddik and a normal person is not in the nature of chemdas mammon. That exists in all of us. In all of us, we have half of our desires fulfilled. The difference between the two is what you do as a byproduct of that. Do you spend your life trying to chase the other half? Or do you get joy from the half that you have? Says Shlomo, it's a torturous thing. Because if you spend your life chasing the half you don't have, as soon as you get that half, you'll realize you actually now want double of what you have before you'll be in a worse position. That's the incredible, unique nature of Chemdas Mammon. Shlomo Melech goes further and he says in another verse in Koheles, in Perek Hey, he says as follows, a well-known posuk. He says that I've seen a great difficulty in the world. Oyhev kesef lo yispa kesef. The one who loves money will never be satiated by money. And that's, again, a description of this chemdas moment, the desire, one who loves it and desires money. You should know it won't fill you. The fact that you love it and want it will make it that you'll never be able to be filled by it. And that's crazy. The things you love won't make you happy. That's unique to Chemdas Mammon. Rabbeinu Yonah says, what's different about Chemdas Mammon to other desires is, for example, he says, if you have a desire to acquire wisdom and you study, the wisdom becomes a part of you. If you have a desire to get strong, build your muscles, inner strength, and you work and exercise those muscles, what you achieve becomes a part of who you are. But with money, if you pursue it, it never becomes a part of you. It never gets digested. At best, it's a number with a name in a bank account. But it never goes in to where the middah is calling for it and yearning for it. And the Maharal says, it's because of that oyhev kesef lo yispa kesef. If you love money, it can't fill you because it never gets digested, the money. It always remains outside, almost ungraspable, untouchable, a number on a computer with a name, but never inside. And so the more you want it, the emptier it makes you feel. That's the nature of Chemdas Mammon. I took my wife once to a Mahadran hotel. We spent our last bit of savings. We were burnt out and desperate. And we went over the Shabbos and weekend to a Mahadran hotel where they had these most magnificent buffets. The first Friday night dinner was the most incredible thing. We sat there for hours, course after course, going through the buffet. Saturday lunch was great as well. By the time it came to Sunday breakfast, we couldn't look at the food. That so much of it had been ingested. That desire for food was just... Doesn't work like that with money. You never get that feeling. In fact, it gets worse. It gets hungrier. Your desire for it gets more. And it never quite feeds you. It always just remains outside of you. We still do at work have a domestic worker who assists with making meals and cleaning the dishes. It was my first years of working, and we did a collection for her on her birthday. And amongst all the people in the office, there's a number of people, we put together in cash 1,000 rand. And I remember she was standing in the kosher kitchen at our office, and the person who arranged the collection gave her the money, the envelope in her hand to open up. And she opened up this envelope and she started to count the money, and there was 1,000 rand in there. And she burst into tears, real tears of joy coming out of her eyes. And that moment struck me so powerfully, because I thought to myself, how much money would have to be in that envelope to make me cry from tears of joy? That's the nature of money. The more you love it, the less it fills you. The more you have of it, the more you want of it to make you happy. And so in fact, the less you have, the easier it is for it to make you joyous. She could come to tears of joy from 1,000 rand. I still today don't know the number. I don't think the envelope could be fat enough to actually physically bring tears to my eyes from the joy. And that's a great pain of this Chemdas moment. So Shlomo, you should know Chemdas moment, it's a tricky thing. It's different to anything else you've experienced. It's le'anois boi. It has a certain torturous nature to it. After sharing this with a few guys in the chabur that I gave, I had one guy I'll never forget. He said, Rov, what must we do now? Like, what do you do with this Chemdas moment? It's like, it's so powerful that we just shecht it, kill it. Like, get rid of it. It's like, this thing's like uncontrollable. It's power, it's true, it's power. But you don't shecht it. Now the Torah is going to teach us how to engage it. Why did Hashem give it to us? He wasn't cruel. He gave us something which is so powerful, so unruly, so uncontainable for very, very good reason. We've got to understand why. And how do we engage with it in a meaningful way to enhance our service to God and not to detract from it. Please God, we'll journey together in the rest of the shurim to explore this further.